Welcome to Microstrategy's Mobile App Developer Academy. This course is entitled Signature Widget. I'll present the steps necessary to enable app users to capture signatures with the help of the Signature Widget placed on the first document, and then display those signatures in another document. You can use Signature Capture Input Controls, a feature introduced in version 9.3, to enable iOS and Android device users to draw a signature on the touch screen and save it as an image file on the Microstrategy mobile server. This feature requires Transaction Services, which is an add-on product to the Intelligence server. The Signature Widget is often used in collaboration with the Image Viewer Widget, which can be used to display the signature image in another document. Using Microstrategy Desktop, Microstrategy Web, and Microstrategy Mobile, I will create two reports. The transaction report that will serve as the basis for submitting the signature in the first document, and the query report, which will be a data set of another predefined document used to display the already captured signature. Let's start with an example use case. In this Microstrategy app, we go to the Demos, Apps for Field and Sales Enablement, and then choose Pharma Sales Enablement. Tap on Execute and choose Log a Touchpoint. This application enables a prescriber to log a touchpoint after entering necessary data. I have pre-entered sample information here for logging a touchpoint. All that's left is to provide the signature to authorize it. Let's click the pen icon and draw a signature on the new screen. We click on Done. The signature appears on the touchpoint logger screen. If the user is dissatisfied with the signature that was provided, he or she can still discard it and draw it once again before submitting. Let's tap on the existing signature to replace it with a new one and choose OK to confirm our choice. Then draw a new signature and confirm it. Click on Submit to store the signature as an image and continue to confirm our choice. As you can see, the information about the new touchpoint, including the signature, is displayed in the bottom section of the document, which means that it was successfully stored in the database. The Signature Capture Input Control uploads images of signatures to the same default location on the mobile server as the Photo Uploader widget. The location is customizable using the mobile server configuration XML. Let's now look at how to build a Signature Capture widget with MicroStrategy. As in the case of the Photo Uploader widget and its transactions, the signature capture and display workflow is based on two components, a query report and transaction report. The first component is the query report that serves as a template of the Image Viewer widget. It displays already stored signatures. The second component is a transaction report that is used in the Signature widget to save the location of the picture with the signature. To start, you need a table that will store the signature picture location. A simple table with two columns, photo_ID and photo_location, is sufficient enough in this case. We need to create a table like this in the database to indicate where we want to store information about signatures. Additionally, it should be added as a project table to the MicroStrategy project. In our case, this has already been done, so we don't need to perform an additional action here. Now we will create a query report. In Desktop, create a new report and choose Freeform Sources tab. Check the Create a Freeform SQL Report box and select the database instance. In our case, the database instance is called MPT_surveyqa. In the upper pane, enter the following SQL statements. Let's map the columns mentioned in the SQL statement with two respective attributes. Right-click the lower section and select Add New Attribute Form. Repeat this action once again. You can type any name you want for the objects that you'll be defining in this section. Those two columns will represent two separate forms of a single attribute. We will name it Signature. For column 1, type Signature as attribute name and location as form name, for instance. The location will be needed for the Image Viewer widget to display the signature later. For column 2, also type in signature as attribute name and retain the ID as the form name. The ID will provide the primary key values for the signatures table. Let's run the report to see that everything works. As we see, we need to save it before we can run it. Let's save it as Signature Query Report. In the report results, each distinct row represents a signature that's already stored in the form of an image. We will now create the transaction report. Create a new report and choose Freeform Sources tab. Check the Create Transaction Report box and select the same database instance as in the previous case. Right-click in the upper blank area and select Insert Transaction to insert a begin transaction, end transaction statement. Between those two phrases, enter the following SQL statement. We need to map the photo_location column with the respective object. Right-click the blank area next to the bracket after the values word and select Define New Input, and then Attribute Form. Enter the name for the photo location column, for example, tr_signature_location, and change the data type to text. After it's done, go to the upper pane again and put the closing bracket after the square bracket at the end of the attribute name. Then create an output object on the Output Objects tab, which will store the value representing the successful ending of the transaction. Right-click the blank area and choose Add a Metric. We can name it tr_output, for example. This metric can be used for verification that the transaction ended with success or to indicate it wasn't performed due to some error. Save the report. Let's name it Signature Transaction Report. Now let's edit the predefined document named Signature Capture Document in Microstrategy Web. For better scalability, modify the zoom option value to be 75%. First, insert the panel stack component to the document. Then add two text boxes on the panel inside the panel stack. The first text box should contain static text with information for the user. Please sign here. Another text box should remain empty. We will configure it to be a signature widget when the document is displayed on a mobile device. Right-click the empty text box and select Configure Transaction. In the Select Transaction window, we navigate to the Signature Transaction Report, which we created earlier. After selecting it, we click OK. In the Configure Transaction window, we choose the field with which we want to associate the transaction. This will be the name of the text box, which will serve as the signature widget. In our case, it is Text92. Then enable the checkbox under the Editable option. This is done to ensure that the user will be able to provide input for the text box when the document is run, including the option of providing the signature. The last and most important task is to choose Signature Capture option under the Control Style property. This option will ensure that the text box will be displayed as the signature widget on the mobile device. After we configure the transaction, let's insert a selector called Action Button and target the panel stack with the text box. The reason why the text box must be on the panel stack is that we cannot use the text box directly as a target of a selector. Instead, we must always place it on the panel stack, which will serve as the actual target. This type of selector will ensure that the transaction will be triggered after clicking the selector button. In the top menu, choose Insert, Selector, and then choose Action Selector button, and add the selector to the document. Right-click the selector and choose Properties and Formatting. In the Selector tab, you need to define the subsequent action type, which will be performed after clicking on the button. In our case, let's retain the Submit option. Additionally, you can set a message that will be displayed after submission, for instance, "Thank you for submitting a signature." At the end, we need to select the panel stack to be defined as a target of the selector. To be completely certain that it is done, disable the automatic target maintenance of the selector and ensure that the panel stack is selected as a target. Click OK to apply the changes and close the window. For better visibility, enlarge the font of the Please Sign Here text. Let's save the document and run it on an iPad to see the results. Let's provide a signature and submit it. We see the message, which means that the transaction was submitted successfully. To make sure that it was, you can create a document where the uploaded signatures will be displayed with the use of the Image Viewer widget. In this document, we should use the Signature Query Report as a dataset and place its attributes on the template of the Image Viewer widget. For this purpose, we will use the predefined document named Image Viewer Signature Capture. After we run this document, we can see the signatures stored in the image format, including the signature that we have just uploaded. In this video, you have learned how to configure the Signature widget for use in a mobile app. Typically, the Signature widget is best combined with the Image Viewer widget, so the user can both upload the signature and view it right away. Additionally, the Signature Capture widget can be part of a confirmation workflow. It enables the user who runs a document to collect needed information and then validate the information by capturing a signature from an individual who confirms the information entered in the form. Such workflows could be used in various business contexts, including purchase order approvals, quality controls, or human resources applications like timesheet or expense approvals. And that's a wrap for this course on Signature Widget.